Chapter 4, Actionizing Ascendency. Throughout this text, we have considered our circumstances within the immediate present from several angles. We began by establishing frameworks for common language and understanding based on some of our most advanced scientific knowledge and theory. We recognized the human experience of time as an ever-extending immediate present, labeling it the time experience, a way of perceiving the world that can accelerate in its intensity and direction as it continues to compound available information. Then we established the human time experience as a localized phenomenon of being in relation to the totality surrounding it. Each of us exists as a fractional part of an infinitely expanding wholeness within the moment, both of it and within it. As we reconcile these observations of being and collective understanding, the single truth reveals itself. Taken into context with our relational universe, we establish a new paradigm of framing human experience. Connecting the dots of observable infinity through evolving universes, imagination, and our powers to create highlights the source of divinity we draw upon within the moment. When we consider our present circumstances through this lens, we observe how our systems of organization prioritize birth lottery as the determining factor of individual access and agency within the world. Here we identify a core conflict between our vision of expansive humanity and the forms of being our present arrangements force us into. So, we develop alternatives. By exploring being human through the lens of the single truth and the relational universe, we conclude that within the immediate present the individual and their environment are an inseparable self. We therefore redefine the self to more accurately represent our circumstances and begin our journey toward expanding our humanity through the dual paths of individual and systemic actualization. Our willingness to explore a bigger vision of ourselves and others could not have come at a more opportune time. Human systems rooted in a hierarchical understanding of the universe have pulled us toward a precipice. Today, we are surrounded by crises in a variety of forms. Most pressing is that of extinction, the rapid acceleration of climate instability in combination with the mass die-off of life on Earth. It is accurate to claim that the human experience consistently embodies some form of crisis or another, but none have ever been as existential of a threat as the crisis of extinction. We arrive at this moment through the progression of our technology and knowledge and the deliberate efforts of individuals and groups, those who have consistently sought to deny collective progress for their personal benefit. We have consigned entire verticals of society into the hands of extractive groups, who have leveraged their wealth to accumulate vast political power. Those chosen to lead are mere extensions of the corporations sponsoring them, quickly consumed by the system they sought to change, and bound to a narrative of no alternatives. We explored the changing nature of work, and how our present approach is disastrous in its organization and harmful to the many who are subject to it. The speed at which we perceive the informational universe and persistent propaganda campaigns blur the lines between what is and is not real, eroding trust in society and the other. We embrace that being human is, by definition, a limiting experience, yet each possesses infinity within. All of us grapple with struggles of inheritance and circumstance. We know ourselves to be more than our systems allow, but struggle to imagine alternatives. Our inherited frameworks of meaning and value, and the systems they inspire, are inadequate for self-actualization in the age of crisis. We reject the crisis as an inevitability, instead choosing to unbind ourselves from a past that no longer serves us. This choice frees us to reimagine ourselves in our own image, to return to our species' most natural state of behavior, cooperation. As individuals, we embrace self-actualization as the ideal alternative to the crisis, a new foundation for new ways of being human. We develop new sets of core values and apply them to our thoughts and actions as an exercise of active soulcraft. In doing so, we learn the power of directing our focus and energy and harness that power by developing routine, discipline, and mastery. We introduce new rituals into our lives that we practice individually and collectively, ranging from small daily practices to the ego-erasing commune with universal intelligence. As our expanding awareness awakens us to observations and understandings previously unknown, our language evolves to express this knowledge. Nothing is beyond the single truth, so we try to align our thoughts and actions with it. This embrace reshapes our powers in many ways, most importantly the ability to love and be loved deeply. It also creates a restlessness that cannot be satisfied within our present forms of organization. Rigid systems of hierarchy must give way to flexible, self-changing systems collectively owned and governed by various stakeholders. We abandon systems primarily serving as tools of power maintenance in favor of frameworks of organization in greater alignment with the single truth and the relational universe. We redefine our relationships with finance, labor, and property to reflect our vision of the good. We leverage the decentralized autonomous organization as the primary model for stakeholder-driven ownership and decision-making. Our reimagination of the individual coincides with an alternative vision of the systems surrounding us. We recognize that all systems reinforce specific ways of being, and that no amount of personal transformation will be enough to overcome an environment of systems reinforcing the hierarchical values that have brought crisis to our door. Rejecting the global model of independent fiefdoms as the primary means of organization, we embrace a calling to elevate humanity through the 8 dignities. These core systems dictate much of the human experience. In most circumstances, our access to and agency within these institutions play an outsized role in our capacity to individually actualize. As humanity has often done throughout our past, we reject the meaning and values we have inherited and claim the 8 dignities as systemic rights of the individual. Granted for no other reason than being human within the immediate present, they are a recognition of our collective progress and reverence of the latent power we have yet to unleash. Through the unification of values governing individuals and systems in alignment with the single truth and the relational universe, we develop paths to deep freedom presently inaccessible to us. Our confrontation of antiquated ideals reestablishes a vision of collective prosperity that aligns our concepts of liberty and free will with the single truth and the relational universe. We challenge our present methods of recording moments, aware of their history of reinforcing very specific but inaccurate perceptions of the passage of moments. Nothing is spared from change, and as we progress in our journey, so too is our exploration of the possible. Our shared transcendence will not come easily. For-profit weapons manufacturers, private and public militaries, and a political system held captive to capital will resist transformation. But we do not need their permission. The path toward systemic actualization is not within the present arrangements, it is beyond them. Our exploration of being human is an exercise in imagining possibilities, and I hope that your journey through the text inspired visions of the possible beyond what your personal inheritance previously provided. In full embrace of the single truth, I have attempted to do what has been done many times before: offer an alternative vision of the universe to expand our human potential, connecting the dots between who we are and who we know ourselves to be. I share this work with the intention of convincing you to embrace self-actualization as the necessary alternative, but do so with no expectations beyond my personal effort. Unlike past messengers, I make no claims of personal elevation outside of what I have gained from vigorous research and the committed practice of the ideals and rituals shared throughout the text. At the same time, there is a personal motivation in my journey of creation over the past 2.5 years of research and writing. Since I first put pen to paper, new life has entered my family. Now my desire for transcendence far exceeds the initial compassion I held for others through my embrace of the relational universal. Knowing the love unique to being a father, my journey toward self-actualization is in many ways an effort to ensure that my child, and the many children yet unborn, do not grow up in an age of crisis and chaos. For the past 20 years, I have been building communities around big ideas and bold visions of the possible, but nothing I have ever accomplished in the past has been more important than this journey we have shared together. For you, the journey may take a different form. You may desire a deeper freedom, a more equitable world, an alternative vision of spirituality for you and your loved ones, an end to domination structures that have so long enslaved us, or simply an alternative to the crises that lie ahead. Whatever your motivation, what matters is your choice to become it. The secret to our success is in our conscious alignment with the single truth. We direct our focus and energy not toward fighting what is, but toward building what will be. I could not have reached you without you taking the time to listen to others. Two parts of the same whole have become one over distance and time experience. I share everything here in earnest, as a real and achievable model for the individual, group, and system that will guide each of us to a greater humanity. It is a vision beyond the scope of anything presently available, but well within our reach, should we choose to embrace it, a transcendent philosophy of being rooted in individual choice, aligning the dual infinities of nature. I hope these practices and beliefs benefit you, as they have me, in embracing a greater wholeness of experience. Change is the single truth. If we continue to deny it through artifacts of our own making, we are destined for crisis. Align ourselves with it, and we usher in a new era of humanity. Ultimately, it is a choice you make for yourself, which, in turn, will impact billions of others. Choose wisely,